So today we're going to talk about something that seems simple on the surface, just a single date on a calendar. But as you'll see, behind that one date is a story that has stretched across decades. It's a story that started with a moment of absolute, shattering violence, and it ends with a question that really involves all of us. Let's get into it.
Here it is, January 28th, 2026. For a lot of people across the country, this date is circled in red on their calendars. Why? Well, it's scheduled to be the first execution of the year in the US. But this isn't just about a legal procedure, you know? It's really the final act of a story that got its start nearly 30 years ago.
And that's the whole thing, right there. This date, which looks so sterile and official on a calendar, is tied directly to a moment of sudden, brutal violence. It's the last page in a really long, painful book that flew open the second a door was kicked in.
So yeah, this one date has become this incredible focal point. It has split people, and I mean really split them, into two powerful, dug-in sides. And each one has a completely different idea of what this day actually means.
On one side, you have people who look at this and say, this is justice, finally. But on the other side, you have people who see it and say, this is just another tragedy. We're going to dig into both of those viewpoints for sure. But first, we have to go back, all the way to the beginning. All right, let's set the scene. We're rewinding the clock. We're going back to Houston, Texas. The day is April 30th, 1998. So here's what went down. The night before, there was an argument and police were called. They ended up removing Charles Victor Thompson from the apartment. But early the next morning, he came back. He forced his way in, kicked the door down, and gunfire just erupted. Inside, a man was killed on the spot. A woman was also shot. She was rushed to the hospital, but about a week later, she died from her wounds. And from that moment on, the path was pretty much set, a path that led Charles Victor Thompson to death row.
You know, I think this is why this particular case hits so hard for so many people. It's this exact idea. This wasn't some abstract crime that happened somewhere out there. It happened inside a home, the one place on earth we all feel we're supposed to be safe. And that violation of that fundamental feeling of safety, well, that's what makes this story feel so terrifyingly personal.
So after the crime, the news cameras packed up and left, as they always do. But the story? Oh, it was nowhere near over. For everyone involved, what came next was this long, painful waiting game, one that has cast a shadow over countless lives for decades.
28 years. Just let that number sink in. That's how much time has passed between the crime and the scheduled execution. Almost 3 full decades. For some people, that's an entire lifetime. It's a period that's been filled with legal battles, appeals, and just the slow, agonizing grind of time that somehow manages to change everything and nothing at all. And this right here, this just perfectly captures the human cost, doesn't it? For the families of the victims, the pain doesn't just go away when the headlines fade. No way. They carry that loss with them every single day. It bubbles up on holidays, on birthdays, in the quiet moments of a random morning. It's this constant, invisible weight. Okay, so all of that brings us right back to today, and to this huge debate that this case really forces us to look at. After all this time, after all this waiting, what does a real resolution to this story even look like anymore? What is justice supposed to do here? Let's really break down these two perspectives, because they get to the heart of the divide. For some people, this execution is the final, necessary step. It is the only way to slam the door shut on this absolute nightmare. In their eyes, it's justice being served, a debt being paid. But then you have the other side, and for them, this is just another wrong answer to violence. They see it as adding one more death to a story that's already overflowing with loss. They believe it just continues a cycle of tragedy instead of actually ending it. So, as this story gets to what looks like its final page, what are we supposed to learn from all this? I mean, beyond all the headlines and the legal arguments, what's the big takeaway from this decades-long saga?
This is the question, isn't it? The one that sits right at the center of everything. After 28 years of grief and waiting and legal battles, what does justice truly mean? Is it about balancing the scales? Is it about giving families a sense of closure? Or does the meaning of justice itself start to change after so much time has passed? This story certainly doesn't give us any easy answers.
You know, maybe the most important lesson here is that this whole case serves as a giant warning sign. It shows us, in the starkest terms possible, how one single, terrible decision, fueled by a quick burst of anger, can set off a chain reaction of pain that lasts longer than a lifetime. It ripples out and affects people you can't even imagine.
And that really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? In the heat of the moment, anger can feel incredibly powerful. It can feel like you're in control, but its real legacy is just destruction. And as this story shows us, that fleeting feeling can permanently shatter not just one life, but many, forever.
So come January 28th, 2026, the story of Charles Victor Thompson might finally reach its conclusion. But the questions it leaves behind, they're going to stick around. What is the real purpose of justice? How do we, as a society, respond to violence? And how can a single moment of anger echo through the decades, long after the sound has faded away?